Sweet. Okay, it looks like we're live on YouTube. Looks like we're live on the first time ever trying to Odyssey. So guys, just bear with us just a second as this is first time we're doing some of this stuff. Let's see. Go to my chat. We've never gone live on Odyssey before.
This is good.
And I see.
Oh, we're live on I just got the notification we're live on YouTube. So that's good.
Sweet. And it looks like I'm not on Float right this second. Let me go on Float. So if you guys are watching this in the replay, obviously fast forward a tiny bit unless you want to see us screwing around with this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you shouldn't be watching us on YouTube because we were actually banned for posting for over the last week because of medical misinformation. So anyways, yeah, it looks like we are live on Float as well. So hello to the currently nobody watching us on Float. But anyways, let's get started here with the show. I've lost like all my screens because I've got 15 different Word documents open and like multiple screens, and this is just craziness. Just a second. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. All right. So Zach, let's start the show at this point right here. I'm gonna stop this. Actually, no, we'll keep it going. But hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Tim and John show. Lots of craziness to talk about today. Actually, lots of craziness to talk about every day. We had the Fed raise rates for the first time in 3.5 years. We've got the petrodollar under attack. Biden signed an executive order, basically greenlighting a central bank digital currency. And, essentially everything that's going on really is making the perfect case for both, Bitcoin, crypto, and precious metals. And just think of like every headline we just gave would be like bombshell, red alert, like freaking talking about ever since we started doing these shows. And actually the first official Tim and John show, because we had some unofficial, sort of like pre-shows before we created the show. But the first official one, I believe, was March 6th, 2020. And on that show, we were actually talking about Russia on that show. So, and of course, I lost the exact spot in here. Actually, I did.
It was 2740.
Well, I had like 3 different screens open, and I couldn't find that video. But now I found the video. So let's go over here doing this in real time and check out this clip from Tim and John show, episode 7, an economic 9/11 is upon us. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna love that title in there. And here we go. But so you said it was a 2740 mark. I had it exactly queued up. I didn't like saying the word queued up because it reminds you of freaking QAnon. But all right, you said, let me, I don't.
It's 2740 for sure.
2740 for show. Okay, let's.
For show.
All right.
Yeah, I would love to own that relic. That would just be absolutely amazing. So at this point, I think there's nothing that can save Trump. Early on, I was saying he needs to free Ross Ulbricht.
All right, I don't think, for some reason this thing isn't okay. Right, it's at this one's at the 40-minute mark for.
Oh, okay.
There it was. Okay, so here we go. This is actually, that was Tim and John's show. This was episode 7. I was on episode 7, not episode 1. So John, you were right. I was just on the wrong episode. Because that episode, while we're on that episode, we're going to skip around and first talk about this, because this one also obviously is number 7. So this one was March 6th. The other one was back I think in February of 2020. So anyways, this was March 6th, 2020, about 11 days before we were underneath quarantine.
To get the libertarian vote, that's, you need that, and you need every other.
It went to the 2740 mark and not the other mark that we went to. But this is what happens when you're trying to go live. So anyways, let's try this.
I believe that we'll look back at even right now as the good times, because I think we're going to lose a lot of freedoms, and it's all going to be blamed on the virus. When initially I thought we were going to be getting a war with China or Russia and then blame it. But, with Trump getting elected, that then shifted strategies to, I guess this, and whether it was manufactured or not, the media manufactured this fear, which is then to me, the bigger problem than.
And March 6th, 2020.
That's going on. But yeah, it's the fear. If everybody,
I guess it
and
flipped the script basically,
had,
Tim.
Even a week's worth of food. It's not that
so
crazy.
It's basically the opposite now. What we talked about there.
It doesn't take a lot to do that. It doesn't take a lot of.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to pull up that other clip, I guess, while I'm rambling as well. But I know the other one. Essentially, we started off the very first episode we ever did. It's talking about all the craziness in the world that's gone on the past couple of weeks, and then obviously, and that's really, I guess child's play compared to everything else that was coming over the next 2 years, and unfortunately just coming and coming. But what's sort of front and center with you, or how things going over there in Canada? And so actually, I ended up just finding, of course, as I try to kick it over to you, I ended up finding the clip that we wanted to find. But anyways, here we go. This is episode numero uno from the Tim and John episode number 1.
Russian deal is all. I mean, I had a Facebook Live that I did 3 minutes long, September 16th, 2016, saying Trump was going to win and they're going to blame it on the Russians. And this is why they're going to blame it on the Russians. So this whole entire thing is just driving me effing nuts, because not only that I predicted Trump, I predicted that they'd blame it on the Russians. And then seeing all this crap of knowing about Hunter Biden years ago. I mean, a lot of people watching this probably know about it. People knowing about Victoria Nuland and all the crap that was going on, people knowing about, basically, all the Crimea stuff was all about, us putting defensive missile systems up against, so it's like I can put an AR-15 to your head, but no, it's a defensive AR-15. So don't worry about it, John. But when in actuality, you're having missiles that can go strike offensively right up against the border. And so that would piss off anybody. I mean, it would piss off, me down here in Arizona. The Russians came here in the Mexican border and started putting, defensive missiles pointed right in my backyard. That would
maybe that's the future, Tim. Maybe it's either China or Russia. Together we'll start putting missile, launch sites everywhere around us. And then we're in the same boat. This is all about like the thinking of empires, and of course, empires they need, an empire of debt in order to run their war machine, and of course. As they're going more and more bankrupt, they need to print more money, so they need to go to war to print even more money. So I think we're heading straight towards something, because there's no way out of like a fiat currency collapse, other than of course you could have a free market.
Oh no, you definitely can't.
Oh no, the free market.
You can't have a free market. And so,
let's not talk about that, Tim.
So maybe when people are like, this is a defensive AR-15 pointed at your face. Like, oh, we have defensive nukes. Don't worry, Russia. It's a defensive nuke.
Tim is going to get banned, by the way. Now our channel is going to be done.
I don't fucking care for ban, because you shouldn't be supporting YouTube anyways. So, if you guys want to ban me, fucking ban me. This. But the thing is, this was episode number 1. Episode number 1. And the thing is, I've been bitching about this since 2013. Like the main thing we've been warning about were central bank digital currency and war with Russia as the pretext to bring that in and have everything collapse. And now it's like right on cue, all those things rolling up right at the exact same time. And then, what a surprise that all this stuff starts happening right as the Federal Reserve is basically forced to play their hand and forced to raise rates when they don't really want to raise rates. And they're going to raise them, what was it, like 6 more times? Yeah, bullshit. They're going to raise them 6 more times. So March Madness is, this time of year. I used to be a gigantic college basketball fan. I mean, growing up in Syracuse, there's really nothing going on in Syracuse besides basketball. But, I stopped watching all sports and all the propaganda. But, March Madness is known as one and done, because if you're, you lose, you're out of the tournament. And the tournament, it's about to start, I think, probably like tomorrow or the next day. But anyways, I think the Fed is much closer to one and done than they are to raising rates 6 times. I mean, maybe they'll probably sneak off another, maybe 1 or 2 more. And those will just be sort of token ones that they don't really want to do or have a lot of excuses, but much, much closer to one and done. And maybe that would be a good title too, because it goes along with March Madness, which they probably don't care at all about March Madness up in Canada.
Well, wasn't it Fauci too that had created a March Madness of all the viruses that he had, tried to promote throughout time, and then finally he got his, COVID-19 finally worked to, scare the masses. We just had here in Manitoba, they just on the 1st they removed the vax passports, and then on the 15th they moved to masking. And believe me, it was pretty hilarious. People were so scared. I went in there, of course, without a mask first I could. And as soon as I did that, people were walking around like looking like with eyes that, you were full of disease or something. So it's pretty hilarious. I actually enjoyed myself quite well, but it was pretty saddening to watch all these sheep running around with these face diapers on still. And actually, I would say like 95% after they removed, like you don't have to wear it anymore. And still 95% is wearing it. When you go on the countryside, I'm a little bit further on the countryside now. It's not as bad. But yeah, So it's like what we're heading towards there. And what was interesting too in Ukraine, of course, is that they found some labs. I thought it was a conspiracy theory to begin with, but then of course Victoria Nuland, who went on, I think it was CPAC, and started talking about the Ukrainian labs. We need to get the or destroy whatever content we have in these labs.
Oh, the same labs that were conspiracy theories that didn't exist until they admitted it. Just like now they're admitting that, oh, the CIA has been funding proxy wars and having people over there since 2013. Oh, really? Yeah, big surprise that that the CIA has been having
and
wars.
Guess what? And guess what? Trudeau is hanging out over, like he was like, I do not stand with people that wear waving swastikas. Well, guess what? He is standing with people waving swastikas. The Azov neo-Nazi groups that are fighting over there around Mariupol in Ukraine are actual neo-Nazis running around with Nazi flags. It's hilarious. You can't make this up anymore. It's just mind-boggling, like the insanity. Not that we support Putin or any of this moronic, invading another country or anything, but we're just pointing out how stupid both sides are.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on like all the Russian Ukraine inner working details. I just actually shot a Tim and Yoshi that will be coming out soon. I'm getting into like the Russia versus Ukraine and Putin, is he good guy, bad guy, like more like 5D chess type stuff. And basically, long story short, it's that these are all sort of war criminals, authoritarians, and just because there was some bad stuff going on over here with Ukraine and NATO doesn't mean Putin's a good guy. And then, I kind of get into the further explanation of all that. But anyways, we'll save that for this one, because obviously, big news today with the Federal Reserve hiking rates for the first time in 3.5 years. And I do remember at the Anarcho speech that I gave, where the Fed at the time, said that they're going to be on this like trajectory of raising rates that'd be a lot closer to going to zero, or that would probably go to zero first before it goes to like 4%. And now, obviously, they came out today and said they're going to raise rates 6 more times. No way that's happening. Absolutely no way that's happening.
Well, Tim, what was interesting too with the rate hikes is that every time they've been hiking the rates back up, they seem to only be able to go half the way of what they did before. So like I think there were 10, then there were 5, then there were 2.5, 2.25. I think we talked about when we did our projection video in the early 2022 in January. I think we were talking about 125, 1.5 or something. I think that's what we're like our target is before they totally collapse into quantitative easing again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always going to be lower lows in terms of where the Fed funds rate is. And maybe the only caveat, and I have expressed this caveat before, is maybe they can, get off their 6 rate hikes if the inflation rate's like 20%, and then, oh, wow, we got, a 2% Fed funds rate. Ooh, big whoopty. And the thing is, I mean, the real inflation rate probably is closer to 15 to 20%. It's just the fact that we're not comparing apples to apples. We've belabored this point a million times before. I wrote a book entitled How It's Rigged, on how they rigged these numbers in 2015. So it's just so annoying having to then come back and see like all of these people are like, oh my God, economists could have never predicted this inflation and no economist saw this coming. It's like, you know what? Every fucking Austrian economics and libertarian and anarcho-capitalist person, every single one of us fucking saw it coming. Everyone probably watching this video probably saw it coming, because anyone who has 2 eyes, ears, knows what's
and a few brain cells.
Yeah, so rub 2 brain cells together and get some hamsters running around in there, and then we would know what's going on. So just very, everyone has, deserves, what's coming to them. Essentially, you know what, you wanted to go. Not that voting for Biden or Trump would have mattered, but you want your Democrat, you want to, bankrupt fossil fuel. Well, guess what? Your ass is getting bankrupt. Not JP Morgan, not Exxon, not any of these other big globalists. It's you that's getting bankrupt. I'm pointing to you, to liberals, and obviously there's no liberals watching this. And if they are, it's, you guys can repent, you guys can admit that you're wrong and everything, and maybe go back from the beginning of these episodes and start watching them and realize how, you guys have been tricked and duped the entire time. And I'm not letting off the conservatives either, because you guys have been duped by Fox News and everybody the entire time too, voting in, Cheeto Jesus. But I was a Trump fan in 2016 because I wanted to stop war with Russia. Because I thought that, okay, obviously, he's not a great guy being Trump, but at least he doesn't want this war with Russia. And he was doing a lot of pretty aggressive stuff in terms of like, hey, if you guys go in and do stuff to Kiev.
And he attacked Iran, like he shot missiles killed Iranian top general too and stuff. So yeah, they're all like a whole bunch of warmongers over there in the United States. Everybody loves war. And now, of course, you got little Trudeau, little minion running around.
Lindsey Graham. I mean, I'd bet $1 million that guy was, taking it from John McCain or something. I mean,
well, yeah, and he was over in Ukraine with McCain. If you go and look at videos, he's there hanging out, like with these half neo-Nazi groups that they supported over there in Ukraine. So, of course, and all these kids that they have, like a lot of them, like was it Hunter Biden? I think he sat on a border oil company where he earned like $80,000 or something.
Yeah,
that's a board member.
And Burisma and meanwhile, Lindsey Graham was probably sitting on John McCain's lap over there, and maybe they were saving money on a hotel room.
But what's really scares me is that you got guys like Lindsey Graham and then Mitch McConnell now says that we're in a war. Like these Warhawk Rhino type of idiots that are
guys who've never been in a fight, never been punched in the face, and they want to go act about how tough they are. And Lindsey Graham obviously is a closet, and wants to act like he's real big and tough. And I'm from the South and from from South Carolina. When in actuality, we all know that he wants to, things I can't say to be, kicked off YouTube again.
Well, he's an idiot. Let's just leave it at. Let's just say it in a nice way.
Yeah, little ninny boy. Anyways, man, Lindsey Graham. I mean, if there's this, it's just chicken hawks like that, people that want to send other people's kids to war to die over banker causes, over fueling the petrodollar, of keeping all this.
They're a bunch of losers. Like they're nothing else but losers. Like who doesn't want to come over and actually act like a man? And like how about you go over there yourself if you're so tough? Like tough guy. Like go over and assassinate Putin if that's what you want. Go right ahead.
I mean, Russian leaders, historically, like if you're going to F up like, Putin did walking into this trap, Putin's days probably are numbered in terms of, even things going on for them at home. But, I guess getting back on the rails over here, we do have the news of, Saudi weighing, potentially accepting the Yuan and deals, which would then obviously, erode the petrodollar. But guess what? The plan is to erode the petrodollar, which is why Klaus Schwab wrote about it in his fucking book. Where they're telling you, and the thing is, we're not like Nostradamus, we're not like soothsayers that are getting downloads from Jesus and you guys have to go listen to me. They tell you everything they're going to do. Like I'm blessed with a very good memory and also cursed with a very good memory that I remember all this stuff and I know all this stuff and I can connect the dots on this. But I'm connecting dots of things that people have said. I'm not making this stuff up.
They got all their minions, like running around. Like Russia is full of World Economic Forum global leaders. I'm at year 2002 right now. And basically, like, I would say like 10, 15, 20% of all the oligarchs that Russia has are old World Economic Forum guys, like actually young global leaders. And then
I'm getting praised by Klaus Schwab, and Klaus Schwab being like, oh, in 2016 Davos Forum, I would say that Joe Biden was the hardest working person at that, constantly networking all the way.
Well, what you got to remember with Klaus, he likes to name drop people that have attended. I couldn't care less about who attended. Like anybody could go and attend a meeting with a whole bunch of morons, speaking at it. But the thing that I'm more worried about is his young global leaders and his Global Leaders for Tomorrow programs, which is actually a 5-year program that they take these younger kids through. And guess who's been there? The head of the Russian central bank. What was his name now? His name is Vladimir, by the way, too. But
his last name is Smith, like in Vladimir. Okay, it was either Vladimir, Igor. It got
But anyways, what it shows though is that like these guys are very much bought into it, and when you go and look at them today, or what they've done today, 95% of them are 100% bought into the whole Agenda 21, because what the World Economic Forum really is just an arm to control the corporate and the banking side of things into the Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, all this stuff that the UN has developed, but they needed a corporate kind of approach to it, and that's what Klaus Schwab has perfectly done, with his programs and promoting, and of course having these young global leader programs and global leaders for tomorrow. Actually, he had to change the name because they were controversial, and I think Richard Warner, which created the documentary The Princess of the Yen, he actually leaked all this information. He got acquired to all these member lists that he saw, and he actually leaked all of these member lists. And sure enough, like if you go and look at most of them, you find that they very surely love to promote that they were a global leader for tomorrow or a young global leader.
Yeah, it's all about networking and seeing where going to build their own little fiefdoms and thiefdoms. But right now, let me just go back over to some of these articles over here that we.
But
have.
we're going to talk about the Yuan and like the Petro dollar falling here, which is.
We'll get to that. I've got that one pulled up on the other screen here. But yeah, the Fed has aggressive rate hiking plan, but it could burn the economy as it fights inflation. Obviously, like there's no way that the Federal Reserve is going to be able to hike rates without killing the golden goose of the stock market. And there's going to be some sort of cry uncle moment or some. And I've been talking about war with Russia for basically forever. And then, was getting, obviously when we had Scott Horton on in December saying that this was going to be one of the main pretexts, along with maybe a cyber attack, to then be the excuse to keep printing money. And then just 1 second, let's pull over here to the.
Well, Jamie's going to come in and be like, I lost $2 million, so I quit the whole stuff on Russia.
Can you see can you see the Yuan article, or is it a different article right now?
This is the Fed aggressive rate.
Okay, I was sharing the window. I was sharing the wrong window. Okay, here we go. Now we got Yuan jumps after report on Saudis weighing its use in oil deals. I mean, and this is huge, but I mean, this is pretty much like
that's the biggest blow ever. Actually,
it's like any other day in terms of news. It's just like we're just hit with so much stuff, like from every single angle, full spectrum dominance. I mean, the fact that this isn't the biggest news today because we've got, nuclear war, CBDCs, petrodollar going down. I mean, it's just like they're just hitting us with like information overload on all this stuff.
Well, what actually make this?
It's almost at the point where I almost wanted to stop even making videos completely until I'm 100% off grid and have my food security. I mean, I've got food security for over a year and a lot of other supplies that I'm a lot more prepped now than I was 2 years ago when all this stuff started. But, I'm not 100% where I need to be. And actually my Starlink came today. So, I'll be joining John in the cool call with that and being able to RV and stuff with that at some point here in the near future, now that that came today. But, yeah, I know Elon Musk is not necessarily a great guy. And there's all the bad stuff going on with him.
His name is Elon Musk now, by the way. He changed his name. According to the Chechen general, he changed his name, by the way.
Yeah, but I basically, at the point now where it's like, what, we've been warning about this stuff for so long. I mean, if people don't, what else is there to warn about? I mean, people need to be, getting themselves ready. And so maybe I'll just come on in the future and just do, guest podcast host on your show or other people's shows, because it's most of the point where it's like, what, if I'm not fully ready, I feel like a hypocrite, up here bitching about, all the little things going on when, and compared to most people, I'm probably, more prepared than 99% of people. But, guess what? I don't compare myself to most people, because most people, are miserable, they're fat, overweight, which I guess, the same thing, which I can't say on, apparently, I call people fat on Instagram, and now I've got 2 strikes on Instagram too. So my days are numbered on there too. But, the average person, fat, miserable, depressed, on a bunch of pills,
but
workaholic. So
going back to
average people. But yeah, let's go back to the Yuan, Saudis.
The most important thing about that, Tim, is that it's actually the biggest news that we've ever heard, really, because guess what? That's where the U.S. empire started. That's where the whole petrodollar started from. And Kissinger went down there and met with these Bedouins and gave them, the riches of, the oil reserves and everything that they had down there, and created them into basically fake royal. Like they're not really like even royal descent. The Saudis down there. But that's what they created out of them. And then the Saudis sold their dollars in US dollar denominated, right? So that's how they created this whole US dollar, petrodollar, that is spread around the world. Everything, in global financial markets have been sold in US dollars. But if you go now and look at different places, and if you look at price quotes, by the way, a lot of it is starting to be also, shown in Yuan, in Yuan quotes as well, when you go and look at commodity markets. So this blow to the dollar, it hasn't, of course, happened yet because they're in talks, but just that they're even talking about it is a massive, substantial thing. And of course, it's not just that. There was India is now looking at doing rupee ruble swap lines for oil, so this is exactly what you said, Tim. Like Klaus Schwab wanted to do. He wanted to destroy the US dollar as the predominant currency, because that's how the US were an empire and they were able to control everything. They want to scatter everything into smaller pieces so they're easier to control with their little minions. And so what is happening right there is straight on book. And there's, of course, in Russia right now, there's so much happening with decoupling from the dollar. Even though now the ruble has actually drastically come down again, it's not as bad. Like it was 120, 130 rubles to a dollar. Now it's at 89 right now as we speak. But what has happened is that VTB Bank, which is one of the three biggest banks in Russia, is now taking yuan denominated deposits, by the way. Also MasterCard and Visa pulled out. Well, guess what? UnionPay came in. And so they got the Chinese UnionPay, which is just a different version. It's a Chinese version of Visa, MasterCard, like credit cards, right? And you got a whole bunch of all these other moves that are happening right now to de-dollarize the world, basically. And they're happening, in the pretext of that.
The U.S. is basically pushing this. So, I mean, everything the U.S. is doing in terms of, saying, oh, Russians banned from doing this. And obviously, China's over here taking notes and like, okay, well, this is what the U.S. did. And when we go in, because the real story is about, Taiwan, eventually, China taking that over. So all the liberals are going to stop, going to throw away all their Chinese products when that goes on. And
listen, like the IOC calls it Chinese Taipei. So we know what side the UN is on already. it's Chinese.
Everybody's on. I mean, the fact that, and I used to be a big Olympics fan, and getting onto like the rah just can buy. Now, I mean, I could care less. I mean, I think I saw it on like in the background at a few different places I went to, and it seemed like your people were doing pretty well in terms of Norway. But you know what? Unfortunately, they're doing well when nobody now cares about the Olympics. Unfortunately, because
yeah, exactly.
A bunch of globalist crap. Man, and I don't know.
No, it's pretty funny actually watching.
I can't wait for 2 years from now when all the women swimmers have gigantic balls and like their big balls.
You can't go the other way though. Like I just saw a promotion. It's like all these women, like empowerment of women, like they were talking about literally transgender men turning into women. They're like, we don't care about the transgender women turning into men. They're like, fuck those guys.
Like, oh, impossible is nothing, and you can be like a man and compete as a woman. And I mean, that isn't exactly what it said, but obviously paraphrasing. But one other article I saw today, as kind of going along with this whole de-dollarization and just how people just don't understand what's really going on. It was it might have been either Bloomberg article or let me try to make sure I'm on the right screen here. The $140 billion question: can Russia sell its huge gold pile? I got an idea, Eddie Spence, whoever fucking wrote this. Why the fuck would they want to sell their $140 billion gold? Because that's really the only asset besides their big natural reserve assets that they have. Why are they going to sell that? You'd have to be an idiot to sell it. But, oh, yeah, you work for Yahoo Finance, which means you probably are an idiot. Actually, let's see. No, works for Bloomberg. Yeah, from Bloomberg.
Well, and if they actually were to sell it, they could just go on the Shanghai commodities exchange and exchange it for oil with the Chinese, for example. Like,
let me go take your fake money that you can print up in 1 second and buy up this, actual asset that you can't just, make up out of thin air. It's like the dumbest thing possible. And everything we're doing to punish Russia is then this leading them more into China, leading them more into India, then also then encouraging those countries to get off the dollar standard as well. And all of this writing is on the wall. And then there's going to be some sort of collapse of the currency. And then they're going to have the United States central bank digital currency. And then the people are going to say, oh, we need something to come rescue us, to come save us. And that saving us, in air quotes, is going to be the central bank digital currency. And they're going to get people to beg for help, which is why the guy that created the Federal Reserve System, James Warburg, said we shall have a one world government. It's only a matter of its consent or conquest. Said this in fucking 1910. God damn it. It's just like,
what?
I'm not sure that's exactly, but the Federal Reserve, I mean, their first meetings were in 1911, established 1913. So this was way back when they were talking, over 100 fucking years ago, that this was already the game plan. So the conquest,
it was like Warburg, I have a dream of a global government.
Conquest route was World War I, World War II. They realized you can't beg someone to submission. So you need to beg for their help. And so the help is going to be through, I'm from the government, here to help, but all roads,
Well, I think actually Simon Dixon was right.
But what's going to happen is they're going to get people to beg for help. It's going to come in the CBDC, and then it's going to be tied in with the vaccine passport. And if you aren't towing the company line and everything, you're going to be cut off. They're going to have everyone by the balls. And some people are like, oh, everybody not like this guy swearing. Well, guess what? You're really not going to like it when your kids and grandkids are fucking slaves, and then they're going to be turned into fucking robots. You're going to like that? Oh, you don't like my language? Oh, well, fuck you, because the real issue is that they're trying to get everyone to turn into synthetic biology, putting nanotech into everyone's bodies to turn them into fucking robots. And if you don't believe me, why don't you go look at one of Klaus Schwab's, like his top minions all talking about this? Why don't you go look at Klaus Schwab talking about this in 2016, saying we're going to have implantable nanotech in this in 10 years, which means it's only going to be another 4 years away.
And listen to, actually the Canadian government has something, an actual agency called Horizons Canada, which is actually fully promoting the transhumanist fourth industrial revolution agenda, by the way. I didn't even know about this, but I got introduced to it by a guy that I work with, of all things. And so this agenda is everywhere. And of course, these minions, they bought into it. They have their the fourth industrial revolution, the smart cities, all this stuff, and the sustainable development. Like when you go into these, I gone through 1,000 people almost now, Tim, of these global leaders for tomorrow. That was before the young global leaders. I'm getting there. But when you go and look at all these people, almost like 95% of them, they're all into either sit at the UN at high positions, or they sit in all these NGOs around the world controlling everything, or to sit at the top corporations in the world, the top banks. His minions are everywhere, and they're ready to commit a global coup against humanity, basically, and take over and push us into a global technocratic, totalitarian, transhumanist controlled state. And that's what they want. Don't take it from us being all conspiracy theory here. This is read his books. Go and read the COVID-19 The Great Reset, or the Fourth Industrial Revolution. He wrote a book on that. Or go and look what was the last one that he did? It was The Great Narrative as well. Oh yeah, and of course that guy as well, Stu P. McIntosh.
Got this book. I haven't read it yet. This is like $160 book, this tiny little ass book.
And in that book, all he could talk about, Tim, is technocratic epistemic elite. That is probably repeated 30, 40 times, probably hundreds of times in there. And they're very proud of it being, technocratic elite. And what is technocracy?
Obviously, John, you turned me on to this too, but this is climate crisis economics. So this is a guy who I'd never heard of before until John told me about him. So Stuart P. McIntosh, he actually sounds like the guy from Something About Mary, the one that was in the I don't know, he has the crutches on, and he's just Rio de Janeiro. Oh, I've been there 5 times last year. And I forgot the guy's name. Anyways, he sounds very much like that guy. But where I'm going with this guy is the head of the G30. And then you might be asking, unless you're John Snyson, what's the G30? Well, the G30 is a think tank of the 30 most powerful central bankers in the world. So they've got, I think 2 people from the Bank of International Settlements, 2 people from the Federal Reserve.
And the top bankers, the chairs of all the banks and the head economists are there too. Yeah.
And this is the top guy that runs that. And his book is a world with a fucking gas mask on it. Everything he talks about in the tiny bit that I've like gleaned over just so far is all about, getting into the, climate change and ESG.
So how much barf have you had to clean up already? That's the question.
I think there are people running the fucking world, like the Rockefellers who created big oil. I mean, no one stops to think about that. That all of these people that have been mother effing us since like basically the beginning of civilization, that these are the people that care about climate change. If these people care about climate change, they wouldn't be trying to put fucking missiles and nuclear bombs up against the Russian border to then provoke Russia to have attacked Ukraine in the first place. Not gonna get into all the details of that now, but these guys could give two shits about what's actually.
Hey, if you want climate change, just let's have a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah, now this is a mouthful here. Geoengineered transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. So I've got my hands full over here with some nice
synthetic biology. It's what's that Israeli guy again? That is Klaus Schwab's. He's like the kind of the head scientist over there at the World Economic Forum. Where everybody's basically like bowing down to him. Whenever he speaks, he's talking about like we're hacking the human beings. We could actually hack every single human being right now. So you should be worried because you're gonna get hacked and you're gonna lose your humanity because now you're not a human anymore.
Which I want to thank my buddy, different John. John, I don't know if he wants me to say his last name, but John O out here in Arizona who sent us that clip actually before it was on Alex Jones, before it was like making the rounds. So a lot of the clips we play, come from you guys. And I don't know if somebody can maybe search this out now, but I was actually at the pizza shop today, and this guy who's from like Albania or something, and he was saying there's a clip out there. I didn't try finding it, so if anyone can find it and put it in the chat, that'd be awesome. So there's a video of George W. Bush and Putin's like, why can't Russia join NATO? Like, why do we have to be against each other? Like, why can't we be on like the same team? Why does it always have to be you guys versus us? And apparently, like Bush just sort of laughs and like then didn't even answer the question. So if anyone can find that, I believe that this, but if anyone can find that, big kudos to you guys. If you could then put it in the chat, that'd be awesome. Or email me at tim@thelibertyadvisor.com for that clip, and that would be awesome. So crowdsourcing some of the truth. But, everything that's going on, we also have, the Chinese and digital Yuan, basically, there's articles coming out. I think this is one of the articles that you had sent us, blah, blah, blah. This was from March 15th, so yesterday. China's digital yuan could challenge the dollar in international trade this decade, fintech experts predict. And it's just, but the thing is, they're going to wrap up all these basically into one, where you're still going to use like the dollar, but it's going to be a central bank currency, and that's going to get wrapped up into the special drawing right. And it's just, complete totalitarian system that's being set up. Once this is implemented, they're going to have everyone by the balls, which is why I've been such a big proponent, and you've been such a big proponent of Bitcoin, other private cryptocurrencies. Not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm a financial advisor, so I can't just make these like carte blanche statements of, you should definitely go and buy it. But what you should do is do your own research. Figure out what we're saying is true, which, if you're watching this, you're probably already in that camp. Otherwise, you would have turned us off, 20 minutes ago. Or whenever this started.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of connections on my LinkedIn that are high up people in when it comes to regulators in the United States, top bankers, top hedge fund people, and I literally not like yelling at them, but I'm calling them out as basically saying that you're calling for the enslavement of humanity. Like wanting these central bank digital currencies into implementation, because all they can talk about now is talking about how we're going to implement a central bank digital currency into the United States or into Canada or whatever they're talking about it. But what they have zero grasp about is the ramifications of their actions. As soon as they've implemented those, there is no going back from that if they only go that way. Well, there actually is a way out of it, and I think we're going to get into it right away. But it's also another way that Ecuador did from 2014 to 18. Well, guess what? Nobody adopted or used the Ecuadorian central bank digital currency, so it failed. How about that? Let's start there. When these morons comes out with their stupid central bank digital. But what I do fear though, Tim, is that they're gonna actually crash everything and then have people, as you said, come begging for, you know, like, hey, if you come over to our central bank digital currency, you're just going to have your new units, whatever you had before, you're going to have it still, you know, even though you lost 80% or 90% in the real economy, you know, we're going to give you back the X amount that you had, as long as you come over to our, you know, central, like our US dollar or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so crazy to see everything just all happening, you know, right at the same time. It's like, you know, like, can the powers that be just like give us like a quick little respite to not have like everything we've been worrying about like hitting all at once? Like, we just like maybe even space it out like a day or two, give us some sort of breather on all this. But the thing is, like, another reason why I'm not like a huge fan of doing videos is it like starts like getting like my blood pressure going, because like during the day I'm like fine and you know, not really worried about all this stuff, even though like I sort of know it's there. But then we get into like, then you send me like 50 fucking articles and we're just like, oh my God, like it's just like everything that we've been talking about. And it's like, we're not hyperbolizing anything. If anything, like I should have been like even.
And the thing is, we want to be left alone. Me and Tim want to be left alone. Leave us the fuck alone. We just want to live our lives. We're not going to hurt anybody. We're just going to live our lives to our very fullest of our potential. But of course, the government is fucking there all the time, right? You know, destroying every single attempt that you have to you know, try to make something for yourself. Or try to, you know, create a greater world around yourself as a human being. The government has to be there fucking toxically, you know, throwing like literal chemicals at you, you know, like in your wealth is just like going away with, you know, like acid, you know, like just dwindling away from this toxic sludge that is government that are sloshing around the world right now. You know, like if there is a nuclear holocaust, you know, like we actually have it right now. We have a damn nuclear holocaust, and the nuclear holocaust is the toxic sludge that are, you know, slushing around the world with all these morons running around talking about democracy. You know, meanwhile, you know, you have people getting stomped and hit with, you know, batons here in Canada, while the head moron over here is like, we stand for people, for democracy. You know, like these totalitarians are nothing else but totalitarian scum of the earth. And I'm nothing for them, you know, and these people are just, you know, they want to control people, and I just tell them, you know, like, please just fuck off.
Is that they Yuan control people with the Yuan? That's gonna be for, all right, that's a bad dad joke. But man, I mean, I'm just trying to look at some of the other articles you sent me and that we, you know, saw today. Wall Street Journal, half of Americans doubt Biden will run in 2024. I mean, I don't even know if Biden even knows who he is, let alone if he's going to run.
Well, does he know that it's a 2024? Yeah, that's the question. Like, you should have heard him today. Like, he was talking about like Putin doing war crimes, but he's babbling half of the time. You know who actually portrays Biden in a very great way? It's what the hell is his name now? He's a comedian, and it's actually one of my, like, he's doing total stupid show. But he's doing like probably the greatest, you know, what do you call it? Like Biden impersonation, you know, in the world. Kyle Dunnigan. Everybody should watch him. Yeah, he has like some serious, very good Biden that totally is like spot on almost. Like, it's hilarious. He's making fun, but it's like not very far off from reality. That's the scary part.
Yeah, there was another guy who did one. You know, I think I saw it in like either Sam Tripoli or Joe Rogan's podcast, where he was talking about like Biden's like, it's the cranes, it's the cranes. It was a comedian talking about it, but whatever he was doing on that was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, he's gonna make it to the hearts of the Iranians in Ukraine. Apparently, that was that was him talking during his.
I mean, the thing is, this is all part of the plan too, because and not like trust the plan, but like the actual plan here. Hopefully, I can put my desk down without.
This is the actual 5D chess by the globalist scum.
But the actual plan, I mean, it's like, oh, to get everybody talking about how dumb Biden is, and oh, we just have to replace this puppet with another puppet, how great things are going to be. And like, even this guy at like the pizza place today, like after he's been telling me for 2 years that Trump's going to be in office and all this other stuff, and finally be like, oh, well, Trump, is going to win in 2024. I'm like, do you not get it at this point? Like, Trump is the one who issued Operation Warp Speed, was pushing the vaccines, was getting on with Bill O'Reilly just like a couple months ago, talking about, bragging about being triple boosted, bragging about rolling out the vaccines, saying we should be, proud of all this. I mean, he put in guys like John Bolton and Reince Priebus and Jerome Powell.
And by the way, his daughter is a young global leader.
Yeah, and so it's just nuts. And then we got even more dollar danger news from Wall Street Journal. I mean, this is from 3 days ago. Is the dollar in danger? Fine, this guy sort of looks almost a little bit like Owen Schroyer a little bit. I mean, not like perfectly, but close enough. And so I mean, when you got the Wall Street Journal even talking about it, and most people are like, and what's weird is like you see, gold prices and silver prices usually go down when the Fed hikes rates. And so to me, I mean, that's the craziest notion, because it's like, okay, now that it's going to be harder for the government to pay back its interest on the debt, why is that bad news for gold? Well, the reason Wall Street says it's bad news is because, now you can get a higher interest rate, on your savings. And so the opportunity cost of holding onto gold versus putting it in the bank is now, greater. So, I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense, because to me, and it's probably everybody watching, to me, it means that there's less of a chance of them being able to, basically fulfill the financial requirements. And everybody knows this. And the thing is, like, the Federal Reserve has been trying to get inflation going for like 13 years. Well, they could have gotten it going simply by, one great way would have been to just say, okay, nobody pays any taxes. They print all the money, and money's all fake anyway. So how about nobody pays taxes? Well, we know the reason is for control, not for actual reasons. Or they could actually calculate inflation the real way. And I mean, the real way used to be just, the increase in the money supply, or you could actually count it how you counted it in the 80s, and then it would have been a whole different ballgame the entire time.
Well, and even M0 used to be just cash and coin in circulation, and now it's, of course, all the central bank reserves that the banks have on their bank accounts at the Federal Reserve. So it's totally distorted reality.
They got rid of M3, and did they get rid of M2 too? I mean, I forgot. They got rid of so much.
They discontinued one, but then they moved a portion of M2 to M1. So I guess they, working on getting rid of M2 as well. But it's just a fraud. Like, what is going on is that they're basically robbing everybody by printing all this money. And of course, what better time of printing money than a war? That's the best time that, any of these globalists love, because they get to print as much as they want. And when you go and look at a lot of hyperinflations, they happen throughout wartime, because that's what they do. They just buy a whole bunch of war equipment from their defense contractors and make them wealthy. Spread everywhere. Oh, here is a head scumbag at the World Economic Forum. Let's listen.
Yeah, thanks to, I think it was Robert McKenna who gave us this guy's name. And actually, I already had this screen already opened on a different screen. I got like way too many screens open, but I actually already had this thing already open.
Yuval Harari. Okay, that's his name.
Yuval Harari. I got to remember that. Yuval Harari, top scumbag. And unfortunately, it has like this ads thing that's here. But let's just play a tiny bit of this. What's going on here?
I listened to the whole half an hour, 45 minutes speech that he had, by the way. They have it out there too.
At the end, what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe I don't have Starlink.
Is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities. When I wrote the book, I started to write it for years ago. It was published 3 years ago.
The audio on this
it was sold by.
But
that's his book, by the way. That he's talking about his book that we just spoke about, by the way.
Yeah,
I think if you reload the website webpage.
Yeah,
there you go.
It was this. You know what had happened is I was listening to this last night. I was doing something else, and it kept playing more and more videos. So I think it ended up there.
Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough. And nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon,
we can do it.
At least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals. How can we get a global agreement on AI when you have a new Cold War, a new hot war? In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it.
Could this crisis, in a sort of paradoxical way, a bit like the pandemic, accelerate climate action, accelerate renewables, and so on?
This is the hope, that Europe now realizes the danger and starts a Green Manhattan project that kind of accelerates what is already have been happening, but accelerates it. The development
Are we going to make green nuclear bombs?
Of better energy sources, better energy infrastructure, which would release it from its dependence on oil and gas, and which will actually undercut the dependence of the whole world on oil and gas. And this would be the best way to undermine the Putin regime and the Putin war machine.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, right. Just as an example.
Oh, look how excited he is.
And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
Yeah. And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about.
Yeah,
when you begin to...
All right, I think that's enough. That's enough of that. Enough. My blood can only handle so much of that. And let's see. Oh, damn, I got off. I was on a live stream checking out comments, and I somehow accidentally got off of it, wherever that was.
But yeah, that's our good friends over in Davos. Tim, I suggest that you and me go over to Davos there and go and hang out with Klaus, and maybe we could get an interview with Klaus, and we'll voice what we think he is, and just tell him what a real totalitarian scumbag is, because everything that he wants, it's all these like old guys that when they get older, or it's the belief of these Malthusianists. I forgot his first name, but the Malthusian Church, or that belief is basically that the world is overpopulated. That was 100 years ago. He wrote this book or whatever he wrote on that topic, and that has always come back. And we went from 1 billion to 9 billion without problem, and they're still talking about this, and it's just a part to use for control, right? And having any war or having anything that's really scary, like a virus that we had, now the war on COVID, for example, for 2 years, and then we go into the war on climate change, or actual hot war, within Ukraine there, and so on, and it looks like Jens Stoltenberg really is desperate to have a war. I don't know why he wants war, because Russia would invade Norway in a heartbeat.
Can you explain the Jens Stoltenberg? Can you explain who that is to people?
Well, yeah, Jens Stoltenberg is the kind of like, I would call him a head scumbag of Norway. Like his dad was sitting on the steering committee of the Trilateral Commission, Torvald Stoltenberg, and so the whole family is, in there with globalism. And so he been around, like he used to be the prime minister of Norway for the Labour Party. The same Labour Party that, Gro Harlem Brundtland came out of, that created Agenda 21 that we're talking about. That is the push of the World Economic Forum, by the way. But he is now he went to NATO, and it was almost right after the 22nd of July event in Norway, where you had a mass shooting by Anders Behring Breivik, and a basically bomb blown off right in front of the Parliament building in the office space. And so after that, he actually became the head of NATO, and has been there for quite a while, actually. I think there was a Danish guy that was there before him. And now, of course, he loves his position. But guess what, Tim? Guess where he's coming back? He's actually retiring soon. And guess what he's going to become in Norway now? When he comes back, he's going to become the head of the Central Bank of Norway. You can't make this up. But and then of course his sister Camilla Stoltenberg is like the Fauci of Norway. So she is like the head of health in Norway as well. So this whole family is like the kind of Clinton type of family without the murderings and killings that are happening. But yeah, it's very similar, like globalist scumbag family that the Clinton family has been.
Yeah, and now that I've taken a seat over here, is the Biden takes a big step article on screen? I wasn't sure if I shared the right one or not. Do you see?
Yep, Biden.
Well, now it's not. Okay, now it is. So, I mean, lost in all this confusion in here is Biden takes a big step towards government-backed digital currency, and we've got my administration places the highest urgency on research and development efforts into the potential design and deployment options of a United States CBDC, the executive order reads. The order asks for a wide variety of agencies to begin research. They've already begun research. They already have a digital dollar foundation. John and I have already covered this ad nauseam. Already gone over the 40 fucking page paper that they put out. We know the implications of potentially issuing a digital dollar are profound. They're extremely wide ranging, a senior administration official told reporters on a call on Tuesday. Although a U.S. digital currency would not necessarily change much in terms of everyday experience like buying goods and services, economists say it would transform central and commercial banking, as well as government sanctions, banking accessibility, and taxes. You know who the sanctions are going to be on? The sanctions are going to be on fucking you and me.
Yeah.
That's who the sanctions are going to be on. That anyone.
Yeah, look at how well it's working in China, by the way, with the massive control grid that they have there.
Anyone's not a good little slave. Anyone's not, towing the government, corporate government, world government line is going to be cut off from the system. And then they're going to use, the fact that I'm talking to anybody to lower their credit score. So that way everyone's going to be fucking cut off. And it's like, oh, it's not really going to change things that much. Bull fucking shit. It's going to change everything. And then at that point, they're going to have us completely by the balls, which is why people need to research privacy coins. Obviously you've got like Monero being the big 800-pound gorilla in that market. You've got things like Pirate Chain, which I think is even like a more private version of, it's not based off Monero, but essentially it sort of has like the underlying encryption, I think, is based off something called, not necessarily encryption, but it's part of the Komodo blockchain, which then is like sort of like somehow like tied into Bitcoin, which you would essentially have to like attack the Bitcoin blockchain to be able to attack pirate, but then it has way more privacy features and aspects and obfuscation of who's doing things than Monero. And there are some social justice warriors in the Monero community, because I was on Monero Talk Radio and people were like, oh, I really like what this Tim guy was saying, until he started talking about flexing about not wearing a mask and not trying to keep people safe during this pandemic. So it's like, all right, you've got social justice warrior type people in the Monero community. Great. That's not necessarily the community I want to,
yeah, but that's the problem with a lot of these. You have like a lot of these tech guys are on that side of things, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah, like I don't need, the thing is, like I don't even want to get into it now, but here we go. The potential is, reading off this again, the potential here is enormous, and it's very interesting, said David Yermak, a professor and chair of finance department at NYU. The executive order will call on the government to investigate the technical needs for digital currency and advocate for the Federal Reserve to continue its research and development, according to a fact sheet released by the White House. And the Fed published a white paper in January about potentially creating a CBDC that would complement existing payment systems. It's going to complement it until you got the frog boiling, and then it's going to merge into one. And that is going to be, as I already ranted on before, put my blood pressure up before, that is going to be the people begging for help, and it's going to be how they're going to do it. But first, they need to make everybody broke. So, part of this, gas getting up to be.
Have the ETFs collapse. If the ETF collapse, like you got to remember, 85% passive investing, 50%, are actually doing investing. When you get a sell-off, there's only going to be 15% that's going to make a move other than selling. So you're going to have a tremendous drawdown. And then, of course, they're going to go and buy all those assets. And so you lose a whole bunch of money there. But, the central bank is going to hold the ETFs. Like the Japanese central bank bought like 80+% of all the ETFs in Japan, right? When that failed in the 2000s, I believe. So this is what they're going to do. They're going to have a severe crash that's going to, make you come begging for it. And I do believe that, when I interviewed Simon Dixon many years back at Acapulco, we had this, that, if they're going to do it, they're probably going to do it where they're going to have you in severe pain, losing a whole bunch of money, and then be like, hey, like having the shiny little thing over here, we'll give you all your money back if you come over to our slave grid. Of course, it's not going to say that. They're going to say it's very convenient, very great. You hear that a lot on. Whenever I'm going through my LinkedIn stream, I just like debunk all these morons trying to, be like, oh yeah, it would be so great with the CBDC because we're all digital. Like the world would be such a greater place because we all have access to, money and to send money to each other, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be, like the greatest thing on planet Earth. Basically, that's how they're portraying this. But actually, what it's going to be, it's going to be the worst thing that we've ever invented on planet Earth. Just look at China and what they done with their, well, before they even had the digital yuan, they had like an insane, like actually mostly, digital form of money that they used WePay and all this different resources to send money around. And of course they have, basically you got to log in with your biometrics to actually have access to the internet. You getting tracked everywhere, biometrics with all the CCTV camera systems everywhere. So you're just getting attached to this complete enslavement grid that you're walking face into without even understanding it. But what we can do, Tim, is what I think, and you talked a bit about it there with privacy coins and so on, is get off the banking grid. That is the number one thing that you could do. Maybe not all your assets, of course, but this is my opinion. Tim can actually give you his advice because he's a financial planner. But in my opinion, looking at, enslavement, yeah, it's a somewhat point. Not in here, of course, but when you actually sit down and talk to Tim, it's a little bit different. But again, it all comes down to like when this whole thing comes down, there's only going to be one way to go potentially. This is what I and both Tim and thinking here that they're going to come here, like have a collapse, and then you're going to be walking straight into your own enslavement in a central bank digital currency.
Yeah, and that was Thomas Malthus, and actually he was 1766.
Also, older. Sorry, a lot older than I said.
Yeah, so you're even older, and I know that some of these other people are like kind of like all tied in together. So obviously you've got Charles Darwin, and I forgot how these again, this is like off the fly right now, but I know that a lot of these like big
global. Yeah, but that's where the Malthusianism comes from. The fear of like overpopulation on Earth. Like it's been around since 1700s. Early 1800s.
They got to get like a British like Fabian socialism society, and you have guys like Eric Blair who wrote a book called 1984 because George Orwell's real fucking name wasn't George Orwell, it was Eric Blair. That because he was basically like let into the plan, that he was killed as soon as he wrote that book, and not a lot of people know that. And and so then like who was the guy that wrote Brave New World? Is that
Aldous Huxley?
And then his brother was like Julian Huxley, who then like helped form the United Nations along with like Rockefeller land. So I mean, they're all tied in. And what was the? It was the Prince of. I hate even calling these people princes, but was it? Was it Prince Philip who, like in the foreword of his book, it was one of these guys. They said, and I'm actually sort of glad that I don't know it, that he dedicated his book to becoming a virus to then come back. They come back as a virus to then wipe out humanity. And the funny thing is, I hate like laughing about somebody dying, but this motherfucker did actually die about 2 weeks after taking his COVID jab. So maybe they didn't get his daily one. And interesting enough, the reason when I was like researching this, he got his COVID jab actually on my birthday. So happy birthday to me. One other motherfucker is not dead. So at least scumbag.
Well, so that's the thing.
Too long for the Queen yet, but maybe they didn't give him the saline one, and so but maybe he's going to come back as a virus to wipe. So these are all great, well-intentioned people when they write forwards to books saying they want to come back.
Maybe Prince Philip is the Quran.
Anyone may put that into the chat of which guy that was. I forget. It's maybe let's go look it up right now.
Because it wasn't Prince Charles. No, it wasn't Charles, was it? Like it was Philip, his brother.
I think it's Philip.
Yeah. I think it's his brother or cousin or something.
I think it's everything is Prince Philip's deadly virus gaffe comes back to haunt him. Yeah. It was funny. Somebody made 33 years ago. 33 years ago. It's funny that's 33 years ago. So 33. Oh my God, I can't make this stuff up. This guy looks like a fucking goblin too. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
talk about a ghoulish looking guy. I mean, oh my God. I mean, this guy looks like.
Well, see, like it's all, you know, what's funny when you look at these evil people, like look at him versus a Jeter Griffin, you know, like a person that really cares about humanity and so on. Like, look at the two differences. Like, he looks like death on ice. Like, look at even Ron Paul, you know, like it's a different look to people that actually care about others. It seems like, because you actually have a positive intent, and when you do, like it's like your body gets involved in all this negativity that these guys are, you know, involved in wanting to eradicate people. You know, it's not good for your own health.
33 years ago, the Queen's husband spoke on the topic of reincarnation and what he would come back if such a thing existed. He said, "In the event that I am reincarnated, I would return as a deadly virus to contribute something to solving overpopulation." So, boom, motherfucker died 2 weeks after getting his COVID shot. So, yeah, let's not shed any tears over that. That's who I did think it was. Yeah, and so we have Tina Marie on the chat. So I want to say hi to Tina, my girlfriend. Make sure you guys check out learntherisk.org. Right now, they're trying to fund for getting different billboards up everywhere. You know, about spreading vaccine. Basically.
Yeah, because Borla was out there talking about the fourth shot. Everybody's meeting, and guess what? Guess what, guys? So like I've been around people like believe in viruses or not, and I've been around 5 people that have been very ill with this, and I still haven't gotten sick, guys. I guess I'm like Matt Damon, in Contagion. I'm gonna sell my blood. Fauci, come here. Give you $1 billion.
So for people in the comments right now on YouTube, which actually I am for the first time streaming now on Odyssey as well. So let me put up that chat as well, because really, I mean, I was just banned from live streaming on YouTube. It's probably not gonna be very long before we're kicked off again, especially what's going on. But it shows that there's some people making comments, but then the comments are hidden. And it's actually the one talking about the Khazarian mafia. That one was hidden. I think we just tried to have that one go back up. But that's a topic that I'm not necessarily prepared to talk about, because I know high level sort of that stuff, and how basically you've got a lot of essentially Jewish people who claim they're Jewish, but they're not really. They're these Khazars.
But it comes down to like family lines and stuff. Like that's all it comes down to, right? Like what family populated where and did what and had bad intent and all this stuff, right? So and of course it's when you go and look down, like look at all these bankers today, like you still find the old bankers' name that created the Federal Reserve. You still find those banks. They might not be like the gigantic banks, but they're hedge funds and so on. Like you find the banking names everywhere. Now, like JP Morgan is of course JP Morgan, Pierpont Morgan himself that it comes from. But you find all these names, and Tim, what's more interesting is that I look at all these people at the Global Leaders for Tomorrow. I'm up until 2001, like I've done all 2001 now. But what you can see is that they intermarry, they marry all these like ultra rich people and so on. Yeah, here we go. I sent this to you earlier. It was actually, I think it was Visual Capitalist. I forgot to actually put this out, but this is data that was created from the Federal Reserve and the Government Accountability Office. Accountability.
The banks that own the Federal Reserve, and then these banks themselves are then owned by essentially wealthy Europeans that have nothing to do with America, and America never really gained independence from Britain. There's little
one, and actually earlier, Tim, there was two major banks. There was Beringer Bank and Rothschild's Bank. The Rothschild's Bank focused more on the royals, where the Beringer Bank actually focused more on the private side, focused on lending to corporations and so on, and governments.
How do you spell that second one? Beringer?
I think it's Beringer. I read this actually in, was it Edmund de Rothschild's own memoirs, by the way. You can get that book online. It was from the Rothschild's library I saw when I bought it. It was actually had been in their library. But yeah, you could get read his memoirs. You get this like inside information on it, and of course they actually have, I purchased this from the Rothschilds' own museum, and it's actually a book with the bonds that they had, and it's all to royals, like around the world, to Brazil and everywhere else, Spain and so on, where they were, because they had connections to the royal families everywhere. And you still have royal families controlling a lot of money. You got to remember, in Norway, for example, the royal family, they're taxpayer funded. So they're the gigantic castle, in Oslo, and then there are 5 other, massive, like, beautiful places that they own around the country. They're all taxpayer funded, and this continues. And of course, you got Royal Dutch Shell, that's owned by was it Duchess of what's her name, from Netherlands there, Beatrix, and you got a whole bunch of other ones that are actually like.
They helped set up a Bilderberg group. I think it was like her husband, or
and also in the Bilderberg group, like Bilderberg actually created the European Union, by the way, and the global leaders. When I go through all these, they also sit on their steering committees at the Bilderberg. Like, all these guys are at all these globalist think tanks that you could think of, like Chatham House and others. They're all everywhere.
And I sent you that email today. I got an email today inviting me to some like ESG survey fund thing that was going to be done like at Chatham House. I'm like, oh my God, me of all people,
Tim,
Chatham House.
Yeah.
And let somebody back up, because we're just like skipping over a bunch of like crazy stuff. But basically, so Chatham House, where the fuck do I even begin on this? So you got the Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes was, the big diamond mine, also gold mine tycoon that was backed by the Rothschild family. When he died, he left his will to establishing roundtable groups to basically have a one world Anglo-American government. And the roundtable group that was first formed was at Chatham House, and it was called the Royal Institute of Affairs. The counterpart in America was called the the Council on Foreign Relations, or CFR. There's videos of Hillary Clinton and be like, oh, well, now the Secretary of State, like, you guys have a new office, and now I don't need to walk as far to go get my orders from you guys. And Dick Cheney was a former director, Hillary was a former director. I mean, this is like the they, them, those power brokers, are in the CFR. But anyway, so that's where the Chatham House comes from. But it all goes back into all these scumbags who created these little roundtable groups. And it's not like there's like one group running the world. So I mean, you got like the people in the CFR and the RAA, and then obviously then ties into Bilderberg and ties into Club of Rome and ties into
Club of Madrid is another one in Europe. There's a lot of these globalist institutions, and the World Economic Forum.
They're all basically moving the ball of tyranny down the field, and they all have like the general semblance. It's not like there's like one. They're building consensus, making.
And a lot of them are intertwined too. Like, they're all on a whole bunch of different of these groups. And
between like BlackRock. I mean, my fucking house right now that I'm renting is owned by Blackstone. So, but then you got BlackRock and Blackstone, which used to be
really. I didn't even know that, Tim.
We've got BlackRock. Which I think is also State Street and Vanguard and Fidelity. I mean, basically those 3 right there, basically between their board of, between I don't even know how much those 3 probably collectively manage about $20 trillion. And so then essentially they then are the ones who are then, helping form the board of directors of all the companies across the entire world. And they all, I mean, the thing is, you don't even have to be like a part of the club to know what the fucking agenda is. Like, if I was a globalist scumbag, even though I've been to no meetings of them, everyone here watching knows what the party line is if you want to advance your career. Like, you don't have to be on the inside track to know what they want to do. Like, you just have to have a brain, because they put it out there and they have fucking books telling you what the plan is and what they're going to do. But then you try then telling people what the plan is, and then it's like, oh, so like a lot of these people that are going to die coming up, I feel bad for the kids, obviously, but you know what? A lot of people have it coming, because people perish for the lack of knowledge. All the knowledge is out there. People are dicking around, wasting their time on the internet doing absolutely nothing when they could be out here. And, guys like you and me and everyone, probably watching this have been chastised by so many different people. But you know what? It's basically time to disassociate from the system, start growing our own gardens, forming our own communities. It's already way too late, into the game. I don't want to say it's too late, obviously, but, something that, we're getting long in the tooth.
We're very deep into it. And Tim, one thing that I wanted to pull up, and this is, from me going through all these young global leaders for tomorrow list, is actually I shared a PDF on our Signal. If you could open that PDF, like this is beyond craziness, and this shows you like what. So the curriculum, by the way, the 5 years that they go through this education process, World Economic Forum, is kind of hidden. They don't tell you, what.
Was this the 301 page one?
Yeah, that is correct. And so this is basically what they have them do, like the young global leaders for tomorrow. Or this was the global leaders for tomorrow. And as you can see, look at the start there, Tim. Right? Like go to the top and read what the actual working. So this is a working group of these young guys. They're under 38. And there's like 100 to 200, people that are in this working group.
Oh, so I'm still young enough to potentially be one of these guys. I'm only 36, so I'm still considered young. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so basically this was a working group on what? Like it was creating a index. Like go to the top there. Yeah. So creating an environmental index. So basically, this is the predecessor to the ESG and the actual rating that they now have on anything in finance. All these funds, even businesses now are getting ESG rated. So that's kind of the predecessor to an actual credit score that they have on the corporate side. And so you could actually see that here. And this is the 2002 class, I believe, right, Tim?
Yeah.
There might be like several people there that are involved since it's 2002. It could be any class from about 1990, 98, 90s, even 97 could be a part of this. But what they're creating here is basically a scoring mechanism for countries to actually say, this is how much you score. This is, and then let's say you have a global government. This is how much money you can get now if you score well on this, the sustainability index.
And then let's also not forget the head of the G30. Obviously, already mentioned this for people coming on, late into the stream. But I mean, here's the plan. The guy that runs the G30 has the globe with a fucking gas mask on it. And do you think these people actually care about, your health or safety or well-being? Obviously, the answer is no, because these are globalists who only care about control. They don't even care about money.
Yeah, they have the money.
You off. They want to have a transhumanist system, and they want to basically make as much money and create as much death and despondency in the meantime. But you know what? We all have the power to create our own worlds. We all have the power to create our own realities. We all have the power to basically disengage from the system. But, and it starts with, turning off the TV. It starts with, changing yourself before you can change the world. It starts with stop eating crap food. It starts with stop going to McDonald's, stop turning. And it's not saying you're a bad guy for watching football or any of these other things, but, it can't be the only thing that in the world. So that's how I can see the plays that these guys are running over here and know what's going on. Whereas, most American guys can, tell you, what, defensive play is going to be in some fucking stupid football game that means nothing. And they've turned football.
Well, Tim, then it comes down to, like, for example, the American versus or North American education versus even the European. Like I talked to a Serbian guy. He's from Serbia, Tim. No, Bosnian, sorry. He's Bosnian. And in Bosnia-Herzegovina, they know way, 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 way more about, anything that has to do with geographics or with geopolitics than, any Canadian or regular American would do in their school system.
Yeah, but I know we've been rambling. I don't know if there's any other topics people want to bring up. Take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see. Silver Ghost 339 says, I'm using Canva to create dissident designs for merch with you guys in the background. That's awesome. Let us know more about that. Tim at LibertyAdvisor.com if you want to coordinate on anything you've got going on. We really appreciate everyone that's been in the chats. What's up to Branch? Hope to see you again at Jackalope this year or sooner. Probably see you at Float Fest, Branch. And he made a comment in regards to me not owning the place I'm in right now. And he says, Tim doesn't own it and he loves it. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. And Tim actually, let's talk about this. Is kind of funny because what's his name? We're talking about Elon Musk, but I don't know if you got what I said earlier, but Elon Musk, if you go to his Twitter now, his name is Elona Musk. and he changed his name because he actually said to Putin on Twitter that, like, I'll challenge you to fight over Ukraine. And so basically the general of the Chechen army came back and said, like, this is what you need to do. And it's like, you should change your name or whatever to Ilona. Like, so he actually changed his name on Twitter to Ilona Musk right now, based upon, the orders from the Chechen general. And it was quite amusing, like, it's funny watching him though, but he's kind of like really trolling the crap out of everything now. If you look at his feed lately, he was like
his own self-promotion, and obviously every single person knows that if there was an actual fight, things went to fisticuffs, that Putin would probably murder Elon Musk in about a millisecond. I really have no.
And then he sold a lot more Starlinks in Ukraine because he said that, hey, like now you can get your own internet.
Speaking of, look what came in the mail today, baby. Actually, it's not. I have not even opened it yet because it just came right before I was making the video. So
yeah, and for rural, it really works because I'm all for being a part of that instead of some crappy old network that runs on the same bandwidth as your fucking Wi-Fi. Yeah, we need to have a technological advancement. And actually, Starlink, Tim, is not even 5G; it's 6G. It's called, the technical term for it, because it's actually like satellite internet is considered 6G, by the way. So he just jumped over everybody else. Now, of course, it's not as fast as the faster fiber optical speeds and whatever we have, but it's way better.
It's going to be a lot faster when the fucking grid is shut down and everything is gone, and then that's the only option. And again, like, he's into Neuralink. He's also, and his dad was his grandpa was a top technocrat in Canada. I don't trust the guy at all, but you know what? For this, I was like the idea of being able to be, and that's for Branch too. Like,
and he also cracks me up. He's been cracking me up lately with his trolling humor on.
Yeah, like I was just this past weekend, like not even that far away from the highway, and had no cell phone reception or anything, which is also like really comical to people, that people think that I can't remember who the president was. It was like Nixon, when he called in to the astronauts on his big like fucking red corded phone and saying how proud he was of them. I can't even get fucking cell service about 10 miles off like a major highway. Not even that far away from Phoenix. I can't even get any cell signal today. And yet, think that was like a big like 1967 or 1969 big corded phone that somehow you're calling people in fucking space. I mean, that is just, it's just laughable. And then, Elon Musk also, he's also touting, how bad fossil fuels are, and just like think of like how dumb like the notion of fossil fuels are. Like it's still being.
Of course, he's gonna do it. He knows what even if he's like, he's not aboard, because I can't find him anywhere on the Young Global Leaders.
Let's think about this. The fossil fuels, like, okay, so a bunch of dinosaurs all like fucking died in the same place, and then like their fossilized remains created all this oil. Like, does anyone really fucking believe that? Like, I maybe believed that when a teacher told me that, and I was in kindergarten. But then, like, you have like any sort, and then actually today I was talking with liberals, like, oh, you think this virus was, engineered? I mean, she was putting words in my mouth, because I didn't even get into that. I didn't even get into the fact that there might not even be a virus. But I was like, okay, so let me get this straight. So you think it basically that you've got a Wuhan Institute of Virology that is definitely getting kicked off YouTube, and a lab that specializes in coronaviruses, and like the top lady there is called the Bat Lady because she specializes in bat coronaviruses. And oh no, didn't start there. It started 100 yards away in a supermarket where they're eating bats. It didn't start at the Wuhan lab 100 yards away.
And guess what, Tim? They found a genetic sequence, a patent by, guess what? Moderna in the SARS-CoV-2 from
the one that sent you the article, so I don't need to guess what. But so, but yeah, they're saying that like the odds of that in like occurring in nature are about 3 trillion to 1, but then the odds of it actually then being patented and then occurring in nature is like is literally like infinity of no way that can happen. But this plays into,
and guess what? Steve Brunchell was a Young Global Leader together with Mark Zuckerberg at the same time.
You got to explain who these people are because you're just dropping these names. I know who you're talking about, but
Stephen Shell is the CEO of Moderna, and of course, Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO of Facebook, or Meta, as it's called now.
Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, at this point, I mean, it's not getting that late now that I'm 3 hours behind because Arizona doesn't change time, bitches, like everybody else does. But apparently now it just passed the Senate that they're trying to make daylight savings permanent, which. Great. I mean, we don't do it anyway.
Just like make it like fuck off, like just like cancel daylight saving time altogether. Like fuck off.
Well, I'm wondering if that, I don't even know. Maybe somebody can do the math on this. I don't know because Arizona is technically always mountain time that never changes. So does that mean we'd be mountain time on daylight savings, which would actually make us Pacific time? Or
no, see, like this is the thing, like just cancel daylight savings time, just go to like whatever your normal time is. Like fuck off. Like
you realize that like if you go to your computer or your phone, there actually is a setting for Arizona time. Like it actually has its own like separate thing. So obviously I'm biased and like know that. But when I first time I ever came here in I think it was like 2010. Yeah, I think it was 2010. And I remember getting on the plane, like having no idea that Arizona didn't change time zones, which makes it a real big pain in the ass. I mean, actually not too bad now with all the scheduling apps and things, but because we go from being 2 hours back to 3 hours back, for East Coast.
Yeah, because like me and Tim have this problem all the time. Like we don't know where we're at sometimes. Because it just changes.
With Josh, and like yesterday, Josh sent me he tried calling me. I missed the call. I called him back like 20 minutes later, and he texted me, "Oh, I can't. I'm sleeping. I'm in bed." I'm like, "It was 8:30. What the fuck are you doing sleeping?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm in Scotland." I'm like, "Oh, figures, So where in the world is Josh Sigerson? He's actually he was supposed to call me today, but I think it's on his way to the Donbass region and like Ukraine and like craziness. So who knows?
He's gonna go and see some neo-Nazis over there and say his thanks from Trudeau to the neo-Nazis over there. He's gonna have some fun.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, it's I think we covered. I mean, a lot of what we wanted to cover was probably in the first like 15 minutes of this and rambling. And appreciate everyone for being on the chat. Make sure to check us out in other places. Make sure to sign up on timandjohnshow.com or the LibertyAdvisor show.com. We also now, I've got my own Telegram group. I think John's got his own Telegram group. So I just started this, just started posting stuff in there. So if you guys want to join that, I'm sure we'll have a link down below. And actually, Arthur Diamond Hands, can you post that into the chat, or let me see if I can just do that real quickly. Liberty Advisor official chat. 1 second here.
Of course, make sure to follow our Telegram group as well. Our Discord group that we have as well for both of us for the Tim and John show. There's lots of great activity, and I always post a lot of there during the day, like on different topics. So it's definitely worth like being on that group if you want to be, kind of semi up to date of what's happening on the day. I try every single day to post in the morning and in the evening or whatever, or throughout the day if there's something crazy happening. So you can always stay very well updated there, versus if you go to certain media outlets, they would only tell you like a third of the story or something like that, or nothing at all of what actually is happening. So we just try to dig through all the craziness in the world and try to make a little bit of sense out of it, of what is actually happening, because there's so much things that are happening behind the windows right now. And believe me, like Putin and everybody else are talking all the time and going forth and back. Meanwhile, they having their peasants, going and murdering each other, because they're the ones that are getting hurt every single time there's a war. There's, all the peasants that are getting, murdered and killed and raped and pillaged. Not, the kings and queens or now the politicians, of course, that never has anything to say in a war anymore. The kings used to actually, if they wanted to go to war, they had to be there with their guys, going into war. Of course, they don't do that anymore because they're a bunch of pussies, including Putin, his little pussy. He's tried to like show off his judo skills over there. But unless you actually go down there and fight yourself, Putin, you're a little sissy yourself.
Would you go over there and fight him and three-way battle royale?
He would take me into good submission, because I've done judo. I've done judo as well as Putin has, but I got a yellow belt and he has a black belt. So yeah, I think he knows a little bit more, and of course he's former KGB Putin, so he's not nothing to joke with. But I'm trying to say this because like in the old days, you know,
Never
actual
former
leaders
KGB.
went and fought.
You're never former KGB. You're always KGB. So
yeah, exactly. Like it was a KGB takeover of Russia, you know, with him and his fellows that, you know, are running Russia right now. That was all KGB. And now, of course, the KGB is the FSB, by the way, which is funny. It's not the FSB that me and Tim have been talking about, you know, the Financial Stability Board. But I remember when I was in Russia in Murmansk, I had FSB guys trying to come and interrogate me and trying to like basically get us drunk to like get some information out of the NATO guys that, you know, come over the border and so on. So it's pretty funny with, you know, they're really into like pulling intelligence from you, of course. And of course, we were told, you know, to look around and see what you find or whatever. And so it's like intelligence on both sides. And I used to work for them, NATO, you know, like they didn't say that directly to you, but I had a NATO secret. So you know what NATO secret is? It's right under Cosmic Top Secret, which Jens Stoltenberg has. I'm right here, motherfucker.
One other thing, so for anyone that was following my Instagram, which I don't really recommend because I'll probably eventually get off there anyways, but I posted a story about how basically the day all this stuff kicked off that I decided to go buy myself some Russian-made AK-47 rounds, 7.62.
Ooh.
So this box right here, 1,000 rounds inside of here. What the moral of the story is on the Instagram thing, I'm like, you know what? I think that obviously this is something that's probably gonna go up a lot in value because the Russian ammo is by far the cheapest. I mean, especially when it comes to AK-47 ammo, more of an AR guy. But besides the
Hey,
point,
brass has gone up. You know, like we haven't even talked about that. All the commodities.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So that box, not counting like taxes or shipping or any of that shit, 222 when I ordered it was $340. Just picked it up yesterday. Now, well, like as of a couple of days ago, so maybe it's even more money now. Well, the place where I got it doesn't even have it anymore. Another place that has the exact same type of ammo, it actually now you're only allowed to buy 200 rounds. You can't buy 1,000, so 200 is the max. But you know, at a price per round, it would come out to over $750 per 1,000. And just 2 weeks ago, it was $340 per 1,000. So you know, homeboy knows what he's talking about when it comes to things going up in value, which is also why I bought an AK that day too, and bought, you know, a bunch of Russian ammo because I'm like, you know what? Obviously, if there's like something that's like high up on the fucking list of getting banned, and actually I said this in the Instagram video, I'm like, it's probably fucking Russian ammo, and it's by far for AK-47, like by far the cheapest round. So
well, that is the de facto gun, you know, in Russia or in Eastern Europe.
34 cents a round is like fucking steal compared to like anything else. I mean, most like a lot of like 300 blackout rounds are like $1, like
and they're foolproof. Like it's probably one of the best ever engineered guns and ammo in the world almost. There's not too many close to the AK Kalashnikov. Of course, there's a lot, like a couple other guns that are pretty, you know, similar in quality. But yeah, the AK-47 is
weight set too. It's like, man, it's kind of heavy. And all these.
So Tim is doing his bicep workout here as we're watching. But yeah, no, a little bit back before we end here, you know, we didn't even mention the commodity prices. Yeah, so like back to actually the commodity prices, Tim, like it's insane right now. Like, you know, if you could pull the commodity prices up quickly, let's just go through them. But what I believe, because one of the biggest exporters of the biggest exporters of wheat in the world is actually Russia. It's not even Ukraine. Ukraine is, I think, like further down the line. But you know, Russia, they banned Russia from trading with anybody. So now, and nobody can get wheat. And then, of course, you know, fertilization is up like through the roof because also fertilization is very, like Russia is a big exporter of that as well. But as you can see, nickel, you know, went like through the roof there. They had
let's look at the year over year.
Yeah. So as you can see, Tim's going to show it here, and then what is
rubber's not up more because more people are getting fucked. No, just a lot of stuff. Number here. Tea, I guess, you know, a few things that haven't gone up. I guess, you know, tea, rubber,
well, tea is pretty abundant, but yeah.
Yeah, orange juice. I mean, I love orange juice. That's so much. Let's see. Oat, man, almost 80%.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's actually food, but then we go to like actual minerals now, and you know, metals and so on. And as you could see, you know, like this is like a lot of rare earth minerals there, of course, but some of them are up like as much as 600%.
And I'm really kicking myself because about a month ago, I was looking into getting nickel and then didn't end up doing it. And now it's like 88%. And I was like, ah, damn it. I was like,
that was a massive, like, I think some kind of ETF. Was it, what happened there?
Lithium. Oh, shit. So lithium just flew up. Lithium is up monthly 265. No way. Is that?
Yeah. No, it's lithium has gone up like crazy because now Europe is talking about going green and all this stuff, right? Like all the ESG stuff. It's in like, we're going to fight Russia by going green because they want to get away from, of course, having, now they have the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. They shut down Nord Stream 2. But of course, like they're doing it now because now they can. In Norway, they still have, the Norwegian government has to pay 55% of your actual heating and energy.
I'm in a lithium fund that's down 14% year to date, but yet lithium is up. Oh my God, what is going on here? Like, how did I somehow pick a fund that's down 14%?
Well, see, that's the problem with funds, Tim. You gotta have to buy lithium. Let's go down to the mine, Tim, and buy some lithium.
Go and get a bunch of lithium and put it in my closet next to all my Russian amps. So.
Me and Tim, we're gonna start a fund, but we're actually gonna go buy all the physical shit. We're not gonna have futures, like anybody else. We're gonna actually call it the physical fund, Tim. Like, this is the new thing that me and Tim are gonna do. We're gonna start a physical fund. We're gonna go and buy oats and oil barrels of oil, and then we're gonna just store it in a little storage. And that's gonna be the fun, like not like these scum, scamster funds that's out there.
Quaker oats and actually, like a lot of like the origin story of this. Maybe we'll just leave people off with this little fun fact. It's really kind of disgusting, but like Kellogg, like Quaker oats and like Kellogg's. I mean, it was basically developed because they were thinking at the time that they wanted that basically they thought that by men eating something like Quaker oats or like Kellogg's would then I forgot if it was Kellogg's or Quaker oats, but it was like whoever the Kellogg guy was, he I think invented it basically to help stop guys like from jerking off and being masculine. And like I'm literally not even making this story up.
Well,
that's literally what it was invented for. But it's weird because there have been studies done too, where like guys that eat meat versus people on like plant-based diets. I mean, I'm not, plant-based diet, but there have been different studies that even like the people who do plant-based actually had like higher libido and like actually like were more rock hard raging than even the people that were eating meat. And there was all sorts of different studies that were done. But yeah, it's a weird, but it is that the origin story of like why they invented that cereal.
So now Tim is turning into Alex Jones here in
I sent John a clip from, I was watching Alex Jones the other day, and I probably pulled it up real quick. He was giving like doing an in radio ad for I forgot what one of his it's like X3 or something.
Oh, it's iodine. It was nascent iodine for like nuclear holocaust.
Yeah, let me find I sent it to a couple
but yeah, it was just hilarious.
Yeah, well, it would be getting kicked off.
Yeah, it would be very R-rated. Yeah,
it would be pretty funny. I started this show. He just all of a sudden at the very end starts talking about. I was like, you know what? And I don't mean to be gross here, but you're getting basically erections like you were like when a teenager, and it's so hard it actually hurts. And if you want but it's just like the funniest thing because like it wasn't. Because I guess it's funny because you give like hard radio ads, but I guess that was like an ad about how hard you can get. But it was like him just going on and on and on. It's like, I don't mean to be gross or disgusting, guys, but this is back when you were a teenager, and it's going to be even more rock hard than it's so hard it's going to hurt. And they're like, wait, does anybody want something that's so hard it's going to hurt you? But I guess he's getting out the medical disclaimers of what he has to do. And then for the app that I like use to listen to it, for some reason, it like every now and then like messes up and like then like repeats like whatever was on the last segment. So like the episode like finished or like whatever it was, like hour 2, and then it like replayed the last like 5 minutes again. And so it went right back into that like little story again. So I got to laugh at it twice and then sent it off to a whole bunch of people. And Branch Janie commenting, wow, unbacked sperm is up over 9,000% year over year. So anyways, now we've gotten into all this sort of potty talk. So I know it's listed, not rated as being safe for kids to live in. And, if you got kids, they're all going to be growing up, hopefully not in a transhumanist world, and we're just trying to save them. So, you know what? Got to have a little fun out here doing this. Make sure to subscribe in all the places linked down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for everyone who's been commenting. Thank you to Arthur Diamond Hands, who's been helping us out with everything behind the scenes. Couldn't do it without you. But anyways, arrivederci, take care, and talk to you.